Hello, my name is Luis Alberto Vera Galvan, and this is Matthew Crocker, and today we're going to talk to you a little bit about meatpacking industries and worker conditions.
In 1906, a young man named Upton Sinclair departed upon a journey to lift a veil and introduced the American people to a world that they were unaware of for many years. When the industrialized meatpacking industry was still in its early stages, there was no such thing as labor rights or product quality standards, environmental regulations, or the ethical treatment of animals. As revealed in Sinclair's magnum opus, The Jungle, sanitation was not a matter of concern in the early 20th century. Animal waste was unmanaged, allowing it to flow into the surrounding environment and damage the urban landscape. Neither the workers or the final product were protected from contamination, posing significant hazards to public health. All the while, the Spartan working conditions with low pay posed the risk of injury and trauma to both the workers and animals, violating many ethical standards that we as a people hold as common sense values today. In time, we as a people tamed this wild frontier. Thanks to Sinclair's efforts, several reforms, such as the Meat Inspection Act of 1906 and the Food Safety Act, were introduced by progressives such as Teddy Roosevelt, requiring that specific standards be set for the meat products sold to the general public. Meanwhile, the Congress of Industrialized Workers and other labor union organizations worked towards improving the conditions that meatpacking workers faced on a daily basis. In time, the working environment became safer, workers became entitled to pensions, health insurance, and other benefits, and the pay for the working increased to the point that it was on par and even above that of the average within the manufacturing sector.
It has been a little over a century since these efforts began, and in the time, the jungle has not only grown back, but has grown larger than ever. As reported by the Public Broadcasting Service, the conditions of meatpacking workers are still Spartan by modern standards. The current level of annual injury faced by the workers in the meatpacking industry is double that of the rest of the average for the labor force. Wages in the meatpacking industries have decreased dramatically since the Progressive Era. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics found that the wages of meatpacking workers in 1976, when adjusted for inflation, were equivalent to $17.41. Today, in 2006, it was found that wages were equivalent of $11.47. To the average American, a condition like this would be deemed intolerable. As a nation, there is an unimaginable agreement that the hard workers, the laborers that make the backbone of our society, deserve better. That is why most meatpackers are not average Americans. The meatpacking industry is not only reverting back to a nightmare that we should have been rid of nearly a century ago, but has evolved and developed a new tactic to ensure it continues success. Now, having personally spoken to many of the workers that work in the environment, I'm able to truly grasp how gruesome and arduous this task can be. I have had people that come to me and tell me their stories. The scary part of all this is that all of them are undocumented, and it is not a coincidence. This corporations and farm owners purposely hire undocumented workers so that they are able to pay them less and at the same time instill fear into them so they are afraid of reporting the horrible working conditions. The new tactic is the hiring of workers from outside the United States. Meatpacking companies in the United States have targeted immigrant workers as their new employees. With over 38% of all modern meatpacking workers being born outside of the United States, many of these immigrants are undocumented workers and thus serve as an excellent source of labor that cannot complain without fear of legal actions against them. It is often said that one should not bite the hand that feeds them. This is the mentality of these workers. To demand a life that common men take for granted is to essentially beg to be thrown out of their homes and forced back to the very places they sought to live, usually so that they find work that was better than that of their homeland. These people are constantly threatened by immigration. They're threatened with things such as if you go and report a certain accident, they will tell you, well, we'll just call ICE and we can have you deported. And this is the fear that it's instilled in them. They're afraid to talk or speak up for themselves because they know that all odds are against them.
All the while, the regulations that were once set in stone now lay upon a foundation of sand. It is no longer the state that ensures the companies are in line. It is the companies that make sure that the state is in line. Half a century ago, the number of inspections of meat products taking place on an annual basis numbered in the tens of thousands. In the modern world, only a little over 9,000 take place, and the government has little power to even utilize the data that they receive. The Supreme Court itself has ruled that a company cannot be shut down due to contamination. With no line of defense, there is little difference between a dinner plate and a deadly toxin.
This lack of regulation extends well beyond our dinner plates and consists of an intricate, interdependent web of poor choices. A wealth of pesticides, fuels, fertilizers, feed, excrement, and other unnatural contaminants are produced and released into the surrounding environment. 18% of greenhouse emissions result from the meat industry alone, greater than the 14% that result from transportation. We can push for hybrid vehicles, Tesla motors, and biofuels all we want, but it will not be as effective as confronting the waking giant before us.
What must be done then? It seems that at this point we've entered another gilded age, in which the will of big business is the will of the people. And their iron hand of law comes before the pleas of the common people and their posterity. Not all is lost, however. It seems that we are due for a new progressive era, in which the state is reformed to ensure that the corrupted form that it takes now is rectified, and the conditions of the working class are improved through the collective effort of a unified nation. It need not stop there, however. Just as the jungle regrew stronger than ever, we too must improve the tools by which we cut it down. And we need not only ration the foods in which we partake in, but also the morality and integrity that we hold sacred as a united people.